Good morning. Welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple Remembrance Service. My name is Miles Yamamoto, and I will be the MC for today. I'd like to offer a special welcome and thanks to Reverend Charlene Kihara, who will be officiating today's service and providing our Dharma message. We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, which signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the friends, members, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. If you are able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and in English. This can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7.
Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.
Please be seated. We will now have, Reverend Char will now lead us in the Sanbujo, which can be found on page 9 of the red Jodo Shinshu Service book.
Ujo mi danyorai ni udo jo san ge My aspiration, freed from greed and with deep right-mindedness and pure wisdom, I will perform the sacred practices in pursuit of supreme enlightenment and become the teacher of devas and humans.
We will now have the remembrance of those individuals who passed away in the month of January of any year. When the name of your loved one is read, please come forward to offer incense. Reverend Shar will then ring the bell once after each name is called. After the remembrance service is completed and the last name is read, Reverend Shar will strike the gong several times and we will go directly into the Sutra Juseige, which can be found on page 54, actually starts on page 55 of the red Jodo Shinshu Service book. Otojiro Asada, Amy Oyodomari. Kyoko Lillian Ueda. Alfred Tatsuguchi. Sharon Kukino. Chiseo Fukumoro and Rei Fukumoro.
Gagon Chosegan Hishimu Jodo Shigan Fumanzo Seifu Joshoga Gao Muryoko Fui Daiseshu Fusai Shobingu Seifu Joshoga Gashi Jobundo Myosho Chojipo Kukyo Mishomon Seifu Joshoga Ryoku Jinshonen Joe Shubongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho Teninshi Jinriki Endaiko Fusho Musaido Shoujo Kasankumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Kaihi Chiegen Meshi Konmoan Heisoku Shoakudo Tsudaku Zenshumon Koso Jomanzo Iyoro Jipo Kanshu Juki Tenko on Fugen Ishu Kai Hozo Kose Kudoku Jo Dai Shuju Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Isai Buz Gusoku Shutoku Ganne Shinjoma Tokui Sangayo Nyobutn Mugechi Tsudatmi Fusho Kangaku Eri Toshi Saisho Son Shiganyakoka Daisen Okando Koku Shotenin Tochin Myoke Namandabu
If you are able, please rise for the recitation Our Pledge, which will be displayed on the screen, and remain standing for the Gatha with these hands, which can be found in the Purple Praises of the Buddha book on page 216. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promised to embrace us all. Namanda, namanda, namanda. Please be seated. Our Dharma message today will be given by Reverend Charlene Kihara. Reverend.
Okay, let's put our hands together in Kansho. Like cherry blossoms are the minds that think that there is a tomorrow, but who can tell? There may be a tempest in the night. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for gathering today for the monthly Remembrance Service at WBT. I know that you have had your Ho'onko service earlier this month, but please indulge me as I have created a slideshow to show you about the Goeiden. During the Kamakura period in Japan, while Kakunyu lived, there was no electricity. So the only way to disseminate information was through hand copying the material. The Goeiden is an illustrated biography of Shinran Shonin's life. It is hand painted and copied by hand. So it's like a comic book for today, but they didn't have electricity, they didn't have computer, so they had to draw everything by hand. The Goeiden was created to be shown at the same time that the biography that Kakunyu wrote, the Godensho, was read. The Godensho was written by Shinran Shonin's grandson, Kakunyu. As for the Goeiden, it cannot be found who the artist was that created that work. It is proper to show my slideshow today as today's memorial service as a grateful gesture to your loved ones. Let me begin today's talk with an explanation of what Ho'onko is. Ho'onko is the most important observance in the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist tradition, one of the most. Ho'onko is not simply a memorial service, nor is it only a historical remembrance. It is at its heart a gathering of gratitude, a time when we come together to say thank you for a life that continues to guide and inspire us more than 800 years later. We remember Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, who lived from 1173 to 1263. Through his life, his struggles, and his deep reflection on human suffering, Shinran helped make the Buddhist path accessible to everyone. Ho'onko is our opportunity to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves what it truly means to live with gratitude. So what does Ho'onko mean? The word Ho'onko is made up of two parts. Ho'on means repaying kindness or returning gratitude. Ko means to clarify, meaning or to gather together. Put together, the word Ho'onko means a gathering where we clarify the teachings by expressing gratitude. This tells us something very important. Gratitude in Buddhism is not only a feeling, it is something we practice together. We return kindness not by repayment in the ordinary sense, but by listening deeply, reflecting honestly, and living in ways that express appreciation for the teachings we have received. Why do we observe Ho'onko? Ho'onko serves several important purposes. First, it is time of gratitude. We thank Shinran Shonin for sharing a teaching that assures us we do not have to be perfect, wise, or spiritually advanced to be embraced by compassion. Shinran taught that the practice of the Nembutsu, reciting Namo Amida Butsu, is open to everyone, regardless of age, ability, social position, or life circumstance. Second, Ho'onko is a time of remembrance. We remember Shinran not as a distant saint, but as a human being who struggled, doubted, failed, and yet continued to seek truth with honesty and humility. Third, it is a time of reflection. We ask ourselves, how am I living? How do gratitude and compassion show up in my daily life? What does it mean to entrust myself to something greater than my own effort? Finally, Ho'onko is about community. We gather together, listening, chanting, sharing food, and learning side by side. In doing so, we remember that awakening is not a solitary achievement, but something nurtured in relationship with others. When is Ho'onko observed? Ho'onko is observed at different times depending on temple tradition and historical calendars. At Higashi Hongwanji, it is usually held in late November, while at Nishi Hongwanji, it is often observed in early January. These dates reflect different calendar systems, but the spirit of Ho'onko remains the same, a yearly return to gratitude. What happens during Ho'onko? Ho'onko services often include elaborate rituals and ceremonies, reminding us that gratitude is something we embody with our whole being. We chant Shinran's writings, especially the Shoshinge, which expresses the heart of his understanding of Amida Buddha's vow. We listen to Dharma Talks that help us connect Shinran's teachings to our modern lives. We also hear readings from the Goeiden that I mentioned before, the biography of Shinran written by his grandson Kakunu, which preserves both the humanity and the spiritual depth of Shinran's life. Many temples also display the Goeiden, illustrated scrolls that vividly depict scenes from Shinran's life. These images help us see Shinran not only as a teacher, but as a child, a student, a teacher, and an elder. Let me show you the Goeiden. This is the Goeiden that I'm talking about. Who was Shinran Shonin? Shinran Shonin was born in 1173 during a time of great social and political uncertainty in Japan. He lost his parents at a young age, an experience that deeply shaped his awareness of impermanence. At just 9 years old, Shinran entered the monastic life, seeking answers to life's suffering and the nature of awakening. In the beginning of this talk, I read to you a quotation of what Shinran wrote at his ordination at 9 years old. Shinran realized that life was about impermanence, like the cherry blossoms, which could fall to the ground with a gust of wind. Nothing lasts forever. Everything changes every moment. So this is the first scene of the Goeiden. This is when Shinran was taken to the temple to become ordained at 9 years old. So you can tell that Shinran was from an aristocratic family because everything was so fancy. He was taken in a carriage. He had many people as an entourage. The man in the blue, right here, this man in the blue, that's his uncle that's taking Shinran to the temple. This is Shinran's first meeting with the abbot Goeiden, who will ordain him in a few scenes from now. And you notice over here, on the bottom over here, that's the cherry blossoms that Shinran saw, and which inspired him to write the poem. This is Shinran being led to the temple where they will shave his head and prepare him for the ordination ceremony. The ordination ceremony happened at night. So this is where this white ghostly figure, that's the abbot Goeiden. Yeah? This is Shinran getting ready to be ordained. Yeah. So, in the life of the monks, they did a lot of study. Shinran is outside listening to a Dharma talk by Goeiden just before the ordination ceremony. So, Shinran became ordained, and as it was customary, the junior monks were called hallway monks. So their job was to clean up the hallways, to do a lot of things, and listen from the outside of the hall. They couldn't go inside. They're not ready yet to go inside to listen. So here's Shinran again, listening to the Dharma talks and what the monks are discussing. And you'll notice that the plants have changed. So this, the scenes depict so much information. They show the seasonal changes with all the various flowers and the plants. And also that those seasonal changes reflect kind of what impermanence is about. So this is another season. I think this is closer to autumn. During this time, this was several years into when Shinran was just about ready to leave Mount Hiei, I guess. And he had left and gone to the Rokokudo Temple to seek Honin Shonin. At that time, there was imperial edicts that came down. And this was when the military and the shogunate were cracking down on Nembutsu followers, such as Honin and Shinran. This is about the time when Shinran and Honin were exiled. So the nobles are meeting to discuss their crime. Their only crime was to say the Nembutsu. So it's not a peaceful time. It's like what we're experiencing now. There was a lot of the military. You're going to see the samurais and with the swords and stuff like that. See the swords here, and here they're in battle armor. This is when Honin and Shinran were arrested. So this is either Shinran or Honin being arrested by the shogunate. This is the site at Ichigo where Shinran was exiled. Honin was exiled at a different location. So he and Shinran never did meet again. This is another season again. It looks like autumn. And Shinran is here. And he met with a lot of different people. People would come to see him, to listen to the Dharma and learn the Dharma from him. But Shinran was not free. He was a prisoner. You can tell by the samurai here, guarding him or watching him. Here is Shinran. And it might be Ishini. They're talking with all the people that they meet, teaching the Dharma. Here is a Shinran here. And this is like a co-gathering, a Dharma gathering, or it might be a poetry reading. This is a kind of sad picture. This is when Shinran died. So Shinran is here laying down, and the people are gathered. These monks here will set the cremation fire. So this is a picture of the cremation fire here. And all the people gathered to pay respect to Shinran Shonin. This is a picture of Shinran Shonin's mausoleum. So when it first started, it was this hexagonal building, which is now the Otani Mausoleum. So this is the end of the slideshow. Okay. The Goeiden, Shinran's illustrated biography. The Goeiden scrolls help us understand Shinran's journey visually. They show us a young boy entering the temple, a dedicated student immersed in study, and later a man confronting disappointment and doubt. So I showed you a picture of Shinran's arrest and all that. So one of the significant moments in this Shinran's meeting was, in Shinran's life, is meeting with Honen, a Buddhist teacher who emphasized reliance on Amida's power rather than self-powered practice. Honen taught that reciting the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, was not a technique for earning enlightenment, but an expression of trust and gratitude. For Shinran, this encounter was transformative. He realized that awakening does not arise from our own perfection, but from entrusting ourselves to compassion that already embraces us. Shinran's embrace of Honen's teaching brought controversy. Religious authorities viewed these ideas as dangerous, and Shinran was eventually exiled from Kyoto. He lost his status as a monk and lived among ordinary people. Rather than seeing this as a failure, Shinran experienced exile as a profound teacher. Living among farmers, families, and laborers, he came to understand more deeply the realities of human life. He married, raised a family, and continued to share the Nembutsu teaching, not from a position of authority, but from shared humanity. This period shaped Shinran's conviction that no one stands outside of compassion. Shinran's legacy and the meaning of Honko. Shinran passed away in 1263, but his influence did not end with his life. Honko exists because generations of people have found their lives transformed by his teachings. Shinran did not ask people to become someone else. He asked them to listen, to entrust, and to respond with gratitude. His teaching assures us that even in our confusion, anger, and limitation, we are not abandoned. Lessons from Shinran Shonin. Shinran Shonin's life offers us several enduring lessons. First, universal compassion. No one is excluded from Amida Buddha's vow. Humility. Awakening begins when we stop pretending we can save ourselves. Gratitude. The Nembutsu is not a demand, but a response of thankfulness. Resilience. Even exile and hardship can deepen wisdom and compassion. Practicing together. When we recite Namo Amida Butsu, we are not calling out to something far away. We are acknowledging the compassion that already holds us, the Nembutsu. The Nembutsu reminds us that gratitude is not something we generate. It arises naturally when we realize how supported we already are. Let us take a moment now, bringing our hands together and gently say Namo Amida Butsu. The conclusion, carrying gratitude into daily life. As I conclude this talk, let us remember that gratitude does not end when the service ends. Shinran Shonin's legacy lives on when we listen more deeply, judge less harshly, and respond to the world with humility and care. May Ho'onko remind us that even ordinary lives live with honesty and gratitude are embraced by boundless compassion. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for continuing Shinran Shonin's path through your own lives. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Reverend Kihara, for sharing those beautiful scrolls. They're incredibly beautiful. I would love to see them in person.
Yeah.
But more importantly, thank you for reminding us that our founder, Shinran, has more in common with us than we actually come to realize. If you are able, please rise for the Gatha on this Morn, which can be found on page 153 of the purple Praises of the Buddha book, and remain standing for the Nembutsu, which can be found in the same book on page 145.
On this morning, we are
Please be seated. That concludes our service for today. Thank you very much for your attendance. Coming up next, we have a special performance by Cynthia entitled Announcements.
Performance. Anyway, Dennis could not be with us today, so I'm going to be doing the announcements. It's not too long. Okay, thank you to Reverend Shar for being the officiant and speaker, Miles for being the MC, Jerry greeter, Lisa the piano, and myself the Kansho, and Ryan for recording this service. So no guests today. Okay. The first announcement, next Sunday, February 1st, will be our first Sunday service. Reverend Kevin Kuniyuki will be officiating the service, and Prudence Kusana will be presenting a Dharma message. After refreshments, we'll have an intergenerational activity, and there's a picture on the screen of what we're going to be doing with Prudence. I'm not sure what it is, but a ladybug. Okay, thank you. So please come next Sunday. And it will also be birthday Sunday for the month of February, okay? As Dennis mentioned last week, we will have a special activity as part of our pet memorial service, which will be on Sunday, February 8th. We will be collecting clean, used towels that will be donated to the Hawaii Humane Society. We'll set up a collection box next Sunday. The February 8th service will also be our Dana Day service. Okay. Now, are there any other announcements that someone would like to come up and share? Okay, before we do the words of thanksgiving, just to let you know, last week, Reverend Tomioka came and he brought us this 100% Puna coffee, okay? And that's what we're having today, okay? So enjoy. Okay. So now we'll do the words of thanksgiving, and Ryan will have it up on the screen. We are truly grateful. Thank you very much, everyone.